saying, the articles from the Pentagon repeatedly spoke about the cuts, the effect of the cuts on the Pentagon. What you didn't hear was reports until today, but none of the other departments. My son works for the Department of Labor in Washington, D.C. He told me there's a gag order, that they are not allowed to be making their case, that is, for example, Department of Labor. Today, the first one to speak up was a guy named LaHood, who's part of the transportation, and his story was about the people who are going to be inconvenienced with the cuts in flights possibly, maybe safety issues. These were about the wealthy people. You have not heard from the Department of Human Services, Housing, the number of other human services agencies in the federal government. We're working with Murray, and I would suggest any of the other people, ask them if this is true. It's coming from the White House. It isn't coming from the Pentagon. The Pentagon can speak as they need, or as they feel like they need to. We've been speaking to my representative, Rick Larson, about this and pushing him. I suggest we push the others. Two other quick comments. One of them is that today I got a report from the Friends Committee on National Legislation in Washington, D.C. They did have a very positive conference yesterday with Senator Murray's defense staff person, and he's listening carefully to the cuts that we're proposing to the Pentagon budget. Evan Schatz, who Ellen has spoken of earlier, is now her staff person, somebody that's fairly close to us and has listened to us, so there's some hope there. The last thing is that I have the latest, it's 2 days old, the impact of the specific impact of these federal cuts in the state of Washington, provided by, I want to make sure I get this right, the Coalition for Human Needs out of Washington, D.C. And I'll make that available. If I could pass it out, I don't know whether that's okay or not. But those are my reports. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dick Burkhart. I'm with the Rainier Valley Neighbors for Peace and Justice and the Northwest Unitarian Universalist Justice Network. I'm also a mathematician, and at one time I worked for Boeing. And there were some wonderful things there, like aerodynamics and acoustics for the commercial airplanes. But one time, I ended up working on a program related to Star Wars. And when I worked on the Star Wars program, I got an insight as to how military spending actually works. And this was a fantastical thing. The idea was that the Soviet Union would be attacking the United States in a nuclear first strike, and that the United States would respond by sending up these missiles to shoot down their missiles before they got to us. And I started looking at this and I started thinking, boy, this sounds like something out of science fiction. Does it make sense? And I finally realized, oh yeah, if everything worked perfectly, and we spent tens of billions of dollars, and the Soviets did this thing and they ignored what we were doing, in absolutely ideal conditions, we might be able to shoot down some of their missiles. But if even one got through, we were cooked. And in practice, they would develop countermeasures, decoys, and things like that, and all their work would be for nothing. And I started thinking about, what's this arms race all about? And I realized it was an endless game. They could do their thing, we could do our thing. There was nothing that would ever stop it. And hundreds of billions of dollars, fantastically advanced ideas, taking decades and all kinds of scientists to do it and resources. And the only solution is to stop the game, to negotiate, to use diplomacy and say, this is insane to pursue this game. Let's change the game.